Hey, it's Hutch from Hutch High Perf. Let's get started on this. I don't even want to waste any time. So the balancer I'm using is a Power Force Pro Products balancer. It's a little bit of shine, but there it is. I like this thing. It's got the degree marks laser etched onto it. Very nice. And what I'm going to do is get some assembly lube on the snout here. Make sure we don't gall anything up. And we're also going to throw some lube on our seal so we don't accidentally jam or tear that on the way in. There we go. All right. Same thing with the balancer. I'm going to throw a little bit on the outside and inside of the balancer shaft just to make sure that is nice and lubed up. There we go. Just a little bit on the inside here. A little bit on the outside. Make sure everything is nice and slick, so when this goes together, I won't have any issues. For what I remember, these are kind of, the fitment isn't like super tight, like you don't have to fight it right from the very beginning. This will slide a little bit of the way on. Yeah. All right. I went out to a local parts store, I won't say which one, and I picked up a rental tool to harmonic balancer installer. I put some lube on it, somebody had their way with this thing. It's like it's distorted, it's all jacked out of shape, but it still rolls and I'm going to use it. But I think when I get it back to the store, I'm going to let them know, hey, this thing is a little bit messed up. Same thing here. Just going to take what's left, lube these threads, so as I run it down, don't gall this. So that way the next guy that rents it doesn't have it any more jacked up than it already is. All right, so I've got, this is the piece that goes into the crankshaft, into the front, and then this bolt actually feeds all the way through, and then this screws onto it. It's an interesting design the way they do it. All right, so I got this tightened down, and then we feed this in. Get that good and tight. All right, so then our ridiculously jacked up bearing goes on. So this is supposed to, it still moves. Man, it's messed up. So this is supposed to keep you from galling the end of the balancer on the inside. So then we'll run our nut down. So now we'll just throw 1 1/4 wrench on this. Just drive it on down. Seems like it's running smooth. I don't feel it dragging on the inside, so hopefully that bearing is working okay. All right, we just reached the seal. I'm just going to slow down a little bit. Make sure we get in there okay. Doing all right. All right, the shaft is starting to spin, so just using 9/16 to hold this in place for the last little bit. I think that's it. Just that easy. So this honking gigantic ARP crank bolt, they say same thing like every other bolt they have. It's the high torque lube onto the threads, put it in, torque it down to 200 foot-pounds. 200 foot-pounds? Yeah, I'd probably flip the engine upside down trying to do that. So it's assembly lube right around the shank here. Get our gigantic washer on. Make sure that's good and lubed. And then around the threads is going to be blue Loctite, and I'm going to hit it with my big 1/2-inch drive impact gun. All right, let's get this guy in. And hope that my 12-point standard socket withstands the impact of this, since I messed up and got a 12-point head on the bolt instead of a hex head, and I don't have any impact 12-point bolts. So this ought to be fun. Make sure that blue Loctite is nice and spread around. We're just going to hit this thing as hard as we can. Next will be the water pump. I will talk about that in just a sec to kind of fill you in. Again, have to use anti-seize on these. Let's get that in there. There we go. I don't know if you can see it, but remember all that talk I had about leaving the bottom on and having a, well, yeah. Well, the water pump outlet here won't fit past it, so it had to go bye-bye. So I just hacked it off real quick. I got to sandblast this thing, really make it clean so I can paint it. So I will smooth all that out so it looks nice and pretty. But for now, we're just getting the water pump on. So the book says 13 foot-pounds for tightening these. My torque wrench doesn't even go that low. So what I do, like every other water pump I've installed, I just go by feel. That is how these will get tightened. These bolts are 1/2 inch and 7/16 for each. There she is. Don't know if you happen to notice that I used the timing marker from the 307 since it actually went to, I think it's 20 something for the time and degree marks. So I painted it, and then I used a silver paint pen and just went over the raised letters and then hit it with a little diamond clear to seal it in. I think it looks nice. Water pump pulley. Nothing needs to be tight at this point. We're just mocking everything up for test fit. And we'll do the crank pulley since we're here. Again, nothing needs to be torqued down. Just snugged up so everything fits. Oh, that was still loose. There we go. Next is a compressor. I filed that flat spot down even flatter just to make sure that it clears my clutch okay. Now the alternator. There we go. That's snug down. On to the next. For power steering, I had 3 different options. I had 3 different pumps sitting around. The one that came on the S10, the one that I think might have come on this engine, I'm not sure, and then the one that came on the 307. I'm using the one on the 307 because I like the angle of where this return line is. So I think that's going to work well, and hopefully it's going to put it close to the same spot, so it shouldn't be an issue as far as mounting that. All right, let's get that pulley on. A little bit of lube to make the trip a little easier. And this is going to have to come back off because this is just mock-up. I think that got it. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like it. Now I just got the idler pulley and the tensioner. So this is interesting. On the back of the idler pulley was this little, I noticed when I took it apart, little tiny O-ring. I think that may have been there just as an assembly method to keep the, let's push this down here, to keep the spacer and the bolt together during assembly. That's what I think. Actually, I don't know for sure. Let's put this down. On the old one, the front opening was bigger and there was a washer in the front. And the washer doesn't fit on this one. And I thought, oh no, did I get the wrong one? So I went and actually looked this part number up. It actually says in the comments to discard the OE washer in the front. Okay, I may come up with something. I feel like there should be something in here. I don't know. There's a pin in the back, lines up with that hole, so you can't put it on wrong. Well, I guess you could, but you'd be crying about it later. All right. All right, nothing needs to be torqued down. This is just me doing fitment so I can get my belt measurement. Well, we are ready to put the belt on. All right, so I have the belt that was off of the S10. So I'm going to use that as my, I think that goes here. All right, use that as my guide. Hopefully this is long enough that I can, yeah, I think that might be. Let's see. Ooh, it's going to be close. Yeah, I think that'll fit though. I just guesstimated. Ooh, yeah. Is that going to hold? Okay, it looks good all the way around. Ooh, did I just get lucky the very first time? I don't know. Let me show you what I'm talking about. All right, you see that double notch right there? The swing of this goes from over here to over there. This is equidistant preload or center preload, whatever you want to call it. But you can see there's a little arrow and you line it up with that mark. So if the belt is the right length, it's going to line up with that notch right there. That gives it the adequate amount of tension. It's not too far up where it can ride and bounce. It's not too far down where it's not going to give you the proper tension and maybe interfere here. Yeah, I think I just, I eyeballed it and I'm like, I think that might be right. I guess I was right on the money. I swear to you, I didn't do this several times. This is mock-up first time. There it is. The whole thing put together. That looks sweet. I really do like that. So I think that's going to put my return and outlet just in the right spot where I want them to be using that 307 pump. Looks like all of my pulleys are lining up very nice. I like that. Everything looks very good. This is a really well thought out, I mean, just those two brackets to be able to mount this on. I really like this. So I think once the intake manifold goes on, right on this side, I think I am going to have to run a bracket. Either, I don't know, get a longer bolt and run it from here, or run it probably from this mounting point here, make more sense. And then run a small bracket down to the intake manifold or off somewhere, just to make sure that this thing has got some support, because it's just these two. You got this bolt here and one on the other side, and that's all that's holding this on. And I just think maybe one more bracket, maybe something down at the bottom. I'll figure that out. It came with two brackets, so I think that'll work. Also, got the sending unit. I mocked that in place just to make sure I put that somewhere. I don't want it like sticking out, and I don't want it, it's not going to go that way. Yeah, so I think that's its home right there. So that'll be hidden kind of down in there. It won't be a big deal. I wish I had my intake manifold back, because I would mock it up with the intake manifold and the valve covers and put the carbs on it just to give you guys a shot at what it looks like. And I still got to put in my fill. That's going to fit nicely right there. That's not going to interfere. Yeah, this is looking really good. I like this. I like this. It gives it kind of a modern look. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So now I've got all the belt in place and I've got it locked down. So now I can just use a tape measure. I can measure the length of this belt, run out to the store, or just look through a parts catalog, whatever I need to do, find the exact right length of belt that I need, or what's very, very close to it, and good to go. I like it. I like it. So thanks for showing up. Thanks for hanging on. This is part 2 of Serpentine belt system. If you're asking yourself right now, hey, where'd you get all those parts from? Put a link to the video where I actually went through all of the part numbers and everything that I used to put this together. So this is Hutch from Hutch Perf. Take it easy, guys.